What's going on, guys? And welcome back to another playoff series video. We got the second to last one here, next last one becoming tomorrow. So we have the 2020 qualifying round, big jump from 2017 round 1 to 2020 qualifying round, in which the Hawks should never have even been in the playoffs. They were the 12th seed in the West, but because of the pandemic and the expanded playoffs, they were allowed in as the last team in, the 23rd team in, as Montreal was 24th. 72 points in 70 games for Chicago, 83 points in 71 games for the Oilers, and they were the 5th seed and should have automatically been in the playoffs. And even going into the series, I thought the Hawks were going to get whooped in 3. Actually, I said whooped in 4. It's funny because prior to the series, I said I could see the series going either way. Edmonton in 3, Chicago in 3, Edmonton in 4, Chicago in 5, Edmonton in 5. The only one I didn't see was Chicago in 4. Lo and behold, that was the one that happened, ironically, and yeah. So, Game 1, Hawks win 6-4, an absolute shootout of a contest. This was a shocker to me. I was surprised as anyone. McDavid gets on the board early with his first of the playoffs and on the power play. 2 minutes, and then Dylan Strome bounces it off Mike Smith's back. Smith started Game 1. He would not start another game the rest of the series. So Strome scores, bounces it in off Smith from behind the net to make it 1-1. 2 minutes and 5 seconds later, it's Jonathan Toews on the power play with his first of the playoffs. And then a minute and 39 seconds after that, it's Brandon Saad with his first of the playoffs. And then near the end of the period, with it being 3-1 Chicago, Jonathan Toews scores again to get his second of the game and the playoffs to make it 4-1. So, if anyone expected Chicago to be up 4-1 in the first period of the qualifying round, I wouldn't know what to say. Chicago had played well. Every team had to play an exhibition game against just a close team in proximity to them. The Hawks had St. Louis, so they beat them 4-0 in the practice game. So that they already looked good that way. And the playoffs were all being hosted in, if it was in the West, it was being hosted in Edmonton. If it was in the East, it was being held in Toronto, with no fans, of course. But Edmonton was at home. They should have been easy win for them, and it just wasn't. So going into the second, Leon Draisaitl makes it 4-2 with his first of the playoffs. Dominic Kubalik then gets a pair to get his first and second of the playoffs to make it 5-2 and then 6-2. Then in the third, it's James Neal on the power play to make it 6-3, and then 36 seconds later, it's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with his first to make it 6-4. So basically the big four at Edmonton only showed up in Game 1. And Game 2, McDavid decided to go Superman, as he often does, as the Hawks lose 6-3. And this is when I'm like, okay, this is where it ends. Yeah, the Hawks win Game 1. They got their fun, and now Edmonton's just going to steamroll them the next 3 games. Game 2, yes. 19 seconds in, it's Connor McDavid with his second of the playoffs, and then 4 minutes later, he gets his second of the game and third of the playoffs to make it 2-0. Near the end of the period, Patrick Kane makes it 2-1 with his first, and then in the second, Tyler Ennis responds to make it 3-1 with his first of the playoffs. Then a pair of defensemen that ended up being the best pair of defensemen for the Blackhawks this series, Slater Cuckoo and Olli Mata, each get their first of the playoffs. Both played on the same defensive pair to make it 3-2 and then 3-3. But before the end of the period, Connor McDavid restores the lead for Edmonton to make it 4-3 on the power play with his fourth of the playoffs in 2 games, and that gets him the hat trick. Then in the third, it's James Neal again with his second of the playoffs, and then Alex Chason makes it 6-3 with his first. Those goals were 40 seconds apart. Game 2 goes to Edmonton. These were also in a best-of-5 format, if you did not know. So whoever won 3 games first would win it all. So it's 1-1, and now the series would have switched to Chicago, except they didn't go to Chicago. They stayed at Edmonton. They just changed the jerseys. Now the Hawks were wearing their normal home red jerseys. So Game 3, the Hawks win 4-3 in a last-minute comeback. It wasn't last minute, but the last 5 minutes of the game, they came back and won this game. Only Mata gets on the board first, as this was the only game the Hawks would score first, and gets his second of the playoffs, and second in 2 games. And then 28 seconds later, it's Leon Draisaitl to make it 1-1 with his second of the playoffs. Then Jonathan Toews responds to make it 2-1 on the power play with his third of the playoffs. And then in the second period, Leon Draisaitl gets his second of the game. Realize how I'm saying McDavid and Draisaitl a lot. Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up. So Draisaitl then makes it 2-2 with his third of the playoffs. And then Connor McDavid scores on the power play with his fifth of the playoffs in 3 games to make it 3-2. And then with about less than 6 minutes left, I believe it was 5:16 left, In the third, Matthew Highmore makes it 3-3 on a perfect deflection from him to make it 3-3. And then with a minute and 16 seconds left, it's Jonathan Toews with his fourth of the playoffs to make it 4-3 and give the Hawks a 2-1 series lead going into Game 4, in which I didn't believe the Hawks would win. I just didn't see a possibility of the Hawks winning this series unless it was like in 5 or a sweep, and it was neither of those. So Game 4, the Hawks win 3-2 in the closest game so far and the least scoring. Josh Archibald, 45 seconds in, makes it 1-0. So they have 19 seconds from McDavid here, 45 seconds from Archibald there. This McDavid goal, I believe, was about 2 or 3 minutes in, or 4 minutes in, I can remember. So Archibald gets his first, and there's a reason he's not in the league right now, because he decided to be an idiot. And people who know what I'm talking about, but one of the biggest morons to ever play in the league, and I don't want to say he deserves it, but it's kind of karma in a way for just doing what he did. And if you don't know, basically vaccine issues, in which he'd rather sit out and not take the vaccine than play a game and get paid. So, idiot on him, ruined a career, and now he has a disease. Sucks to be him. So, he makes it 1-0, and then Brandon Saad makes it 1-1 with his second of the playoffs. And then 2 minutes and 40 seconds later, it's Matthew Highmore with his second of the playoffs to make it 2-1. In the second period, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins ties the game with his second of the series and playoffs. And going into the third, we're tied at 2-2. And with about 8 minutes to go in the game, Dominic Kubalik gets his third of the playoffs to give it a 3-2 lead for Chicago. And they close out the game. They hold off the Edmonton attack, and they are able to take the series in 4 and advance to the next round, where they play Vegas, who was the first seed in the West at this point because they won their round robin with Dallas, St. Louis, and Colorado. So we'll get to that series tomorrow. But let's go over the stats. So we have, I wrote down 6 names here. All of these people had 4 more points. Toews, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. Kubalik, 3 goals, 3 assists. That's a 7. Supposed to say 6 points. Let me fix that. Mata, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. Great series from Mata. Kane, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. Doc, 0 goals, 4 assists, 4 points. Keith, 0 goals, 4 assists, 4 points. Crawford, 3-1 with an .891 save percentage, so not great out of him. But in the next round, he would show up, even though they wouldn't win that series. McDavid, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. Absolute beast. Nugent-Hopkins, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. So Nugent-Hopkins had a good series. Draisaitl, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. Neal, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. Everyone else had 2 points or less on the Oilers. Koskinen, 1-2 with an .889 save percentage. And then Mike Smith, 0-1 with a .783 save percentage. To say that's bad would be an understatement. Storylines out of this: Kubalik was a Calder finalist that year and a rookie. Doc was a rookie and had a pretty solid rookie season, and all things looked bright until then he got injured at the World Juniors, and he only played 18 games, but he had 10 points in those 18 games. And then this year he kind of sucks, and that's kind of interesting. And now everyone's wondering what's going to happen now. So yeah, probably the biggest upset in my lifetime when it comes to the playoffs. And then, so that's all I have for you guys today. We have one video coming tomorrow, which will be the last playoff series video. And then Tuesday, there's a Hawks game I have to watch, so there's probably not going to be a video on that day. First time I'm not doing a video on that day in a long time. It's been since prior to my Christmas break. So, yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow, and yeah, that'll be it for now. Have a nice day. Goodbye.